time to make our tomato cages. Last year we grew 12-foot tall tomato plants and used regular woven wire, just welded wire cattle panels, cattle fencing, and I've stacked two on top of each other and they couldn't handle the weight of the tomato plants. So this year I'm going to use a cattle panel. These cattle panels are 50 inches wide and they're 16 feet long. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this down the center, and then we're going to take hose clamps and clamp them together, and we're going to make like a box out of these things for our tomato plants. So we'll be able to grow up to 16-foot tall tomatoes and still keep them in a cage, which that's probably wishful thinking, but that's my goal this year, is try to grow tomatoes the whole length of these cattle panels. So I'm going to take some bolt cutters real quick. I'm going to cut these. We'll get one cut, and we'll go ahead and go back to the tomato grow, and we'll go ahead and put one up and show you how we're going to do it. Now they sell 2-foot wide panels, which would work better, but when I went to pick these up, they didn't have any in stock, so I had to get the 50-inch panels. It's going to make it about 3 or 4 inches shorter than if you were to use the 2-foot panels, but I think it's still going to work all right. Yesterday, when we built our first tomato cages, of course these cattle panels are 16 foot long, and we tried putting them up one piece at a time, and Christy and I and our friend Yvonne helped, and it was kind of difficult because they're so long and flimsy. So on the second one I got the idea of just taking some zip ties and loosely putting it around them and putting them together on the ground. So all I did was put some zip ties, left plenty of room, and where I've been using these 1/2-inch hose clamps, I'll put 3 or 4 on each side and just leave those loose also. And that way we can fold this up, carry it to the tomato run, set it up, strap it to our pole, and then we can unfold it like a triangle. And then all I have to do is go up the one side and put zip ties and hose clamps like this, and then tighten up the hose clamps and zip ties that I'm putting on here. And that seemed to work a lot better. It went a lot quicker, it was easier. These are a little stiffer when there's 3 of them together, so we were able to stand it up pretty easy. And then like I said, all I did was just go back and tighten the zip ties and the hose clamps, and then put more on just the one side. So that worked a lot better. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this one ready, this tomato cage ready. I'm going to go ahead and put a few zip ties up through here and a few hose clamps, and then fold them up, and then I'll take them around back and Christy and I can set them up. These look like they're going to make great tomato cages. Of course, if you don't want them 16 foot long, you could cut them in half at 8 foot or just buy 8-footers, and then you would have an 8-foot tall tomato cage. These are plenty strong enough to support that. Of course, we're trying to grow monster tomato plants. So last year, our tomato plants collapsed on it, our cages collapsed on us. So this year, that's why I'm using the cattle panel, and I'm using 1 1/4 10-foot pieces of conduit to drive in the ground to hold them up. Plus, I'll be putting wires going to a post at the end of our old chicken run to help support the top of it. Now, this might seem like a little bit of overkill to a lot of people, but last year growing 12-foot tall ones, I think I can grow even bigger ones because they fell over in August, so we still had at least 6 weeks of growing time. But I may be being a little bit optimistic here, but you have to have some kind of goal. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this put together and then fold it in, drag it around back, and then we'll make one more, and that'll have our 4 monster tomato cages made. Well, I have several hose clamps and zip ties on these now, so what I'm going to do is fold them up to the middle and then drag them around to the tomato grow, and that way when we stand them up, once we get it bolted to the, or hose clamped to the poles that I already have driven in the ground, then we can unfold it and put it in place, and it should work out real well, or at least it did the last one. So I'm going to fold this up and go ahead and drag it around back.